Imagine living your life unaware of a hidden force that silently shapes your path, influences your choices, determines your victories, and even fuels your repeated mistakes. What if the errors you keep falling into are not random at all, but guided by an invisible law operating behind the curtain? Carl Gustav Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, described this rule as so profound and unsettling that most people lack the strength to face it. Yet this isn't just an abstract philosophical idea. It holds the power to completely change your life if only you dare to confront it. Jung called this confrontation facing the shadow. For him, genuine personal growth was never about toxic positivity or building a socially approved image. Real progress meant stripping off the mask and seeing yourself as you truly are, without the safety net of external approval. The shadow, according to Jung, is everything within us that we reject, repress, or conceal. Most people associate it only with flaws: anger, envy, greed, selfishness. But Jung emphasized that the shadow also contains hidden strengths, treasures of creativity and potential that we exile in order to fit in. Thus, the shadow is not only the storage of imperfections, but also of unclaimed power. Facing it, however, is incredibly difficult. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek approval, to be liked, to conform. We learn to suppress our raw and unfiltered selves and wear a persona, the mask Jung described as the social face we present to the world. Over time, we wear so many masks that we even deceive ourselves. To take them off feels like the death of the ego, because the walls of identity we've built begin to crumble. But repression never erases the shadow. It only strengthens it in the dark until it governs us unconsciously. The shadow resurfaces through anger, jealousy, hidden desires, often projected onto others. We criticize in them the very traits we cannot admit in ourselves. Jung called this projection, as he famously put it, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Think for a moment, who in your life triggers your strongest reactions? Why do their behaviors strike such a nerve? The uncomfortable truth is that we often see in them our own shadow. This recognition is the beginning of shadow work, a journey that is unsettling, yet deeply liberating. Jung believed the shadow doesn't only hide our weaknesses, but also the gold within us, our repressed creativity, boldness, and authenticity. Many of these were pushed into darkness when families, teachers, or society labeled us as too different, too stubborn, too dreamy. Yet these are the very qualities waiting to be reclaimed. True vitality lies there. But why is this so hard? Because confronting the shadow means dismantling the story we tell ourselves. I'm a good person. I'm patient. I'm fair. Shadow work reveals that we also harbor selfishness, impatience, and cruelty. Accepting this shakes the ego, but it also opens the door to transformation. The process isn't a one-time act of bravery. It's an ongoing dialogue between conscious and unconscious. Every slip of the tongue, every irrational dream, every sudden outburst is the shadow revealing itself. Awareness is the first step, but as Jung warned, awareness without integration changes nothing. Only by owning these hidden parts can we transform them. For instance, manipulation might be a shadow trait. Instead of denying it, tracing its roots, perhaps a childhood survival strategy, allows us to redirect that energy into honest communication or strategic thinking. This is why Jung likened shadow work to alchemy, transforming lead into gold. Projection remains one of the biggest pitfalls. We escape facing our darkness by casting it onto others. That person is arrogant, selfish, untrustworthy. Often these judgments reflect what we fear in ourselves. Jung urged us to ask, what does this show me about me? Though uncomfortable, this question unlocks true growth. Shadow work also connects us to something bigger than ourselves, the collective unconscious. Jung saw that our individual shadows intertwine with the cultural and ancestral shadows of humanity. Myths, archetypes, and recurring symbols, heroes, tricksters, destructive gods, are expressions of this. Thus, confronting the shadow is not only personal healing, but also a contribution to humanity's healing. Throughout history, societies have projected their shadows onto others. We are good, they are evil. This dynamic has fueled wars, oppression, and division. Jung believed that if enough individuals confronted their shadows, the cycle could be broken. Importantly, embracing the shadow doesn't mean indulging destructive behavior. It means acknowledging impulses and transforming them consciously. Anger can become a force for justice. Jealousy can drive ambition. Aggression can defend the vulnerable. Suppressed, these energies control us. Accepted, they empower us. Spiritual traditions echo this truth. Alchemy's transmutation of lead into gold, Taoism's yin and yang, Sufism's purification of the self. Enlightenment comes not by rejecting darkness, but by integrating it. As Jung wrote, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This journey demands courage. It dismantles the illusions of identity, but brings authentic freedom. Without masks, we are no longer slaves to approval or prisoners of internal wars. We accept both our light and darkness, and in that wholeness lies strength. So ask yourself, what parts of you do you see in those you judge? Which emotions scare you most? What do your suppressed desires point toward? The answers aren't easy, but they are the gateway to your shadow. The person who embraces their shadow becomes, in Jung's words, a beacon of light. Not flawless, but authentic. And authenticity is the greatest strength one can possess. In the end, the question is simple. Are you ready to face your shadow? To stop hiding behind masks and step into wholeness? The path is not easy, but it is the only one that leads to true freedom. Because to accept the shadow is ultimately to accept yourself.